Hey there, welcome back to Hanging Out for a Living, where we shine light on the people who are building meaningful careers by doing work they love and having a little fun along the way. Today I'm joined by Leslie Smith, a powerhouse in the world of public relations with more than 30 years of experience under her belt. Leslie has worked with everyone from scrappy startups to global corporations, helping them craft compelling messages, earn major media coverage, and build real connections with their communities. She's the kind of strategist who makes PR look like really easy, but trust me, it's anything but. If you've ever wondered how to truly stand out in a really noisy world, or hey, how to tell your story in a way that gets results, this conversation is with you or is for you. Leslie, welcome. Thanks for joining me today as I
Thank
fall
you,
over my mouth.
Teresa. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful introduction. Can you type that out and give it to me? I'll give it to anyone who ever introduces me.
Absolutely. I'll send it right over.
That was great. I'm going to hire you as my publicist.
I'll trade you. Awesome. Hey, so let's dive. I know I want
Sure.
to value and honor your time. So let's dive into our questions. Okay, sound good?
Sure thing.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So you've worked across such a wide range of industries, like from
Yes.
aerospace to nonprofits. What's the first thing you look for when stepping into a new client relationship?
Very good. Yes. So I want to know if I can help them. Like, where are they now? Like, sometimes I am surprised. I got a call the other day for an event and he wants some coverage. He has a national festival and he's had great coverage. And I'm like, well, how can I help you? And so he already has great inroads, but he doesn't get along with the PR person that he's using,
Ooh,
which, right? I'm like, well, that's a big key. You have to have trust between us, and then I can help him. I know I can help him, and he has this wonderful foundation, which makes it so much easier stepping into. A lot of times people come in and it's a blank slate, and I know I can help them then too,
yep.
because it's fertile ground. Like, they haven't had any news coverage, and they haven't gone after media at all, and they have a great story to tell. And you named, I think I counted up once, it's like 30 different industries I've worked with. And so I'm really a generalist. And early in my career, got brought in a lot of times as the subcontractor to a larger contractor to do
Sure.
those community relations pieces. So whether it was canvassing neighborhoods, telling about construction projects, or tabling events, running contests, acting as a mascot for it. All of those different things that, the concepts are always the same, right? And every business, nonprofit has to build relationships
Right.
in order to succeed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've landed media coverage in some pretty big markets.
Yes.
What makes a story media worthy in your eyes, and how can everyday businesses tap into that?
Sure. Thank you for recognizing that. I always tell my clients, you live in the Los Angeles area. It's like the number two media
Yeah.
area of the country, with New York being the first, and Chicago's in there somewhere, right? And so there's great competition. And so you it needs to be unique.
Okay.
And unique is relative to everything else going on that day,
Sure.
right? So you are competing for many different people, asking for the attention from the media. But it has to be, and it doesn't, you may be doing the same exact thing as somebody else, but you're doing it in a unique way. For instance, so I worked with an aerospace company, and they wanted to cultivate kids being involved in STEM education so
Sure.
that their pipeline is filled. They can hire local engineers, right? So the Pi Day is, March
Yep.
14th. It's also
Yep.
Einstein's birthday. So, people would send pies to classes, right? Or,
Sure.
schools, and say, oh, it's Happy Pi Day, blah, 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 from us, whatever. And so we did a little something different and had the local hockey team do, the science of hockey, and, all with Pi Day. And because there's a circle part of a hockey rink, right? And
Yep.
so pi comes into that math, whatever. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's
Over
going
my
to
head.
stand out compared to the 10 organizations that sent pies to schools,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it was a different way to tell the story. And because we had a sports team involved, now we can contact ESPN. look at how this team is out and about in the community. So you want to look at all of those different angles. There was that organization, we had a good relationship with the hockey team, and I would call the hockey blogger to
Oh,
write about it.
okay.
And writing about the STEM education to him was the byproduct. I was giving him access to those hockey players in a realm where there was no other reporter that interested in that part of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling the science editor for, the LA Times or the Daily Breeze, and then, or the education person. And then I called the hockey blogger. And so he shows up and he's just asking, so last night's game, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, STEM education. And he goes, God. And he'd say, he'd go, they were out here for STEM education, make sure your kids are interested in this. It's great. And I talked to right? It gave him 2 articles to write, 2 things to do, and, good relationship. So looking for those different angles. What's, who does this appeal to? Who is our audience? Like, hockey fans have kids too. Hey, you got to get into this engineering stuff and pay attention to your math, and there's something about pie with your hockey shot.
Yeah, it's not about the person or the people that like shout the loudest, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
who's doing it uniquely.
Right.
Kind of out
And
of the box.
shouting does help, though.
It does. I agree.
Yeah, so you can't be very passive, especially because the media has shrunk. There's not as many journalists, there's not as many photographers. They have skeleton crews going out covering lots of things, and then they, for broadcast news, they have to get back to the studio and edit. Right. Okay. So, which is different than a newspaper where they have a day or so, but they're just more limited, and so you do have to be very persistent.
Right.
So a lot of people send out their own press releases, and I don't blame them. And so just be mindful that a journalist is not going, I want to write about direct mail. That's not going to happen.
I agree.
Right? Yeah. But if you contact them and saying, I'm doing a mail-a-thon, and everybody's mailing something on the same day, and then tracking how quickly it got there, and we're mapping it, and I got a science class involved in collecting the data,
yeah.
Then, and then you contact them, they go, I never even thought of that. That's so interesting.
That's where the unique comes in. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And which means sometimes you have to create that news. Right. It's not, people want the feature. Won't they just do a feature about me? No. You sell pens. They're not going to, right? It has to be something. Think if you're reading your morning newspaper, whether that's paper or online, or even just reading, your feed that you're getting, you follow some news channels in your Instagram, what is going to make you stop and read it?
Right.
That's not bad news.
Yeah, I know, right? There's too much of that anyway. Yeah. But that's really a great segue into our next question. So, we talk about identifying the most strategic and persuasive message for an organization, right? Mm-hmm. What's your process for helping a client discover that core message?
Sure. So, and that sometimes is a process, because sometimes people, they're proud of themselves. Well, that should be enough. It's like, but it's not. So let's go through it a little more, and let's put ourselves in the minds of the journalist, put ourselves in the minds of the public. Yeah. Like, what is going to be compelling, and then we can massage it. And sometimes it doesn't work the first year. And it's interesting too. You have to have super good communication with my client. And sometimes I'm like, there was one in particular where I didn't understand. They kept saying, oh, it's this great day. It's a great day. Everybody gets together. It's just an awesome day. They're like, it's just, and they kept saying this. And I'm like, okay, but what happens? Well, they come in, the high school students come in, they build stuff. I'm like, okay. I'm like, and I'm protecting the client here, so I'm not divulging everything, but I'm like, I'm not getting it. And they're like, well, it's very diverse. We get the high schools from all over LA County, so it's everybody. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to get media there, and I'm like, get it. So I got one little outlet came. Yeah. And they're like, well, last year we had, broadcast news. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how. And so, And
Okay.
so the day starts going through, oh my gosh, it's a competition.
Oh, geez. Okay.
They never said that word. And when I went, I said, I had no idea it was a competition. They go, you never asked. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my goodness. Okay, you have to explain it to me like I'm brand new to this because
right.
I'm brand new to this. I don't know what this thing is that you've done. And they had a big cup, like, with a progressive
Sure.
um, a trophy
Yeah,
that
trophy.
they put the high school that won each year. I'm like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So then the next year I rewrote it and said, the high school smarts meets the Stanley Cup.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And
Yeah.
then that helps people frame it. And those analogous ideas
Yeah.
really help people get it. And and that's you learn that if you've ever written anything, if you've ever like they'll tell you like the editors and stuff will say you have to have a log line for your elevator pitch, right?
Right.
It's the same
Right.
thing. You need to be able to say it in a sentence so people can understand it. So
Absolutely.
how do we get to that point?
Right. Exactly. Great. Great. That's a great story. Thank you.
Sure.
So you've created trainings, and I know you've written a really great book because I have a copy and I read it. Um, that your trainings really are not just effective, but they're fun and dynamic, as is your book. So, what's your secret to making marketing education engaging for all types of learners?
Well, thank you so much for reading the book. I'm so glad. So it's called Laws of
Yeah,
Promotion. And this is sort of indicative of how I do trainings, is that I take something much like having that log line or that analogous situation,
sure.
and I put it in something that's familiar to them and then build on that to teach what I'm aiming to teach.
Right.
So this I took Newton's laws of motion that we start learning in fourth grade these
Yes.
days, right?
Yeah,
It's so early in
it
in
is.
our world. So, and it's physics, right? And then
Yep,
I put it into the laws of promotion, which you quoted one the other day in your email, where a body at rest stays at rest
that's
unless
right.
what did the quote was, unless a
Um,
marketing person.
I can't even. Was it? Oh, it was. Wasn't it Dr. Ivan Meisner from
Yes.
BNI? Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
And so, unless it's interrupted with a marketing pitch or something
There you
like
go.
that. Right. And so, a body of rest stays at rest unless acted upon, and a body of motion stays in motion unless acted upon. And so, that's key. Like, a lot of people start their businesses and they go, okay, I built my website. People will come now because it's in the World Wide Web, and it just doesn't work that
Doesn't
way. You
work
got to
that
get
way.
off the couch and go from there, right?
Right.
And then the second law is, I always say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But my engineering father-in-law said I was interpreting that all wrong. The second law is force equals mass times acceleration, which sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just how much you have to do depends on what you want to do and in what time frame. Like,
Exactly.
so do you want to make $1 million in your first year of business? Could happen. Okay, so what do you have to do to do that? So first you have to have that great product, you have to be in the right place, you need to have the right price point, and
Yep.
then you have to have promotion that really jacks that up to really,
Exactly.
perform,
Yep.
great. And you might make $1 million and you might have spent $500,000 on advertising.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then that third law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which for small businesses, a lot of times that could be a Yelp review. That could be, a poor review on Google. How
Sure.
do you address that? Because,
Right.
and depending on size, your scalability, that can make a big difference to you if you have one bad
Absolutely.
review compared to Disneyland has a bad review. So
Right.
how do you deal with that so that people can see that you've responded, you've made it good, you've
Right.
corrected that? And then I created a class based on this called
Hmm.
Boost. And it's available online, and for you can get it, it's $69, but I'll give you $30 off with the code Boost 30.
Ooh,
And it's
okay. There you go.
self-paced. Yeah, 3 modules, and it has downloads and videos, and
Perfect.
then you just go through it, and it's super simple, but it's creating this very accessible, like nobody's offended by reading this.
No, no. And I,
Right.
and I can speak from firsthand experience because it's on my shelf here somewhere on my bookshelf. And yeah, it's not. It's an easy read. It really, really is.
Right. It's 50 pages. It
Oh,
has fill in
please.
the blanks.
Oh,
You can
yes.
download these from my website too. So
Yep.
then you can use them again and again. And it makes it accessible. Because I find sometimes, even, I went to educate, or I was educated. I went to education. I was educated in the 80s. Like all the terms change. And I
Yes, they
teach
do.
classes for the nonprofit partnership here in Long Beach. And they're like, oh, earned media. I'm like, we used to just call it being in the newspaper.
There you go. A whole different language, right? I mean,
Right.
oh my gosh.
Right. And so, keeping up those terms can be so confusing, and
I
people
agree.
use jargon. It's like that's not helpful. So
Right.
I take a no nonsense approach that's just very brass tacks. It's without the hype. Let's sincerely get people to know you, because people work with people. And so
Yeah,
I want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, and we're finding
absolutely.
what that is. Sometimes people are telling the wrong story.
That's true too. Yeah,
Right. And
that's
so
absolutely
that's part of that process too. They're
right.
like, this. It's like, well, but it's your 50th anniversary.
You're right.
Let's talk about that, not your,
Right. Yeah.
pennies for patience. Like, let's talk about this other thing. What have you accomplished in the last half a century?
Right.
Right. So making the trainings something that they already know,
Hmm.
and then turning it into whatever I'm training on, whether it's
Okay.
branding or marketing
Right.
or personal communications
Sure.
or image, anything
Right.
like that. Right. And so it just makes it more accessible. I don't want to leave anyone behind.
Gotcha.
Nobody's born knowing what ROI is, and
Right.
it's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and cost per
Please.
thousand and blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah,
And
and
CPM and no, yeah, yeah.
right.
I
Like,
know,
okay.
I know. Oh my gosh. So, Leslie, I want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Your insights, oh my gosh, pure gold. And
Oh, you're so sweet.
and I know our audience is walking away inspired to show up with more strategy, creativity, and confidence, right? So, if you're watching and want to connect with Leslie or learn more about her work or that book and the class that goes with it, check the description below for all the links. And if this conversation sparked something for you, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because around here we're building a community of people who are doing work that matters and making it their own. So until next time, keep showing up, stay curious, and remember, you don't need a corner office to build a career you love. You just need the courage to start. Thank you again, Leslie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank,
We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
thank you, Teresa.